Well, we get to welcome people into our lovely kitchen.
Yeah, don't look too close.
This table was built by my dad, and it's going to live with this house forever because it's not going to be
Yeah.
moved in and out. It's so heavy. Thanks for being willing to come on the podcast. This is the first time we've ever done anything like this before.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Full disclosure, we already recorded this once in our office podcast studio, and we're like, that was weird.
It
Let's
was
do it
weird.
again.
Yeah.
So here we are. Take two. Although what you shared was great, but it's weird interviewing your spouse.
It is. It's really weird.
And the topic is heavy
Yeah.
and
It is. And I'm not a great communicator anyway, so bear with me.
have you ever done anything like you've
No,
never done anything like this
Nothing.
before?
No.
Well, you've got a lot of great wisdom to share because you've always been a wise person. I found you to be, not that I've always listened to your wisdom, but also you've done so much work in your own recovery, and that's what I want to talk about today. And you have an ability to just remember things that you've heard or learned. And I'm always like, you're like asking me like, how did that go? Or what did you, and I'm like, I can't bring it back. I can't recall, but your ability to learn, but then also re-communicate what we've learned is pretty great. So, and we've always just said if we could just help.
Absolutely. If one person can feel less alone, I'm willing to do it.
Yeah.
So.
And we've been blessed in our story of having a lot of really great people around us. I think you probably did. I mean, did you ever feel alone, even though we had a great support system, but did you still feel a little bit of is there anybody else going through this, or was that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I like to, for people that I'm close with, I like to start with a check-in. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Just to check in, because it just helps me snap out of performative mode and just get I did it with Grace, our daughter, when she was on, and Tyler. If I'm friends with the person or I know them closely, and obviously you and I you're the closest person I've ever had interviewed on the podcast before. So I want to just get out of my head and a little bit more into my body, into what we're wanting to talk about and accomplish today. So I can go first if you want.
Okay.
I feel an immense amount of gladness that we're able to sit here and have this conversation. And it'll be 4 years in August. So not even 4 years yet. So the gladness that I feel that we can sit here grounded in a really healthy place in our marriage, not perfect, but healthy, on this journey of recovery together, just it's overwhelming. How much gladness I feel for that. But I also, I feel some fear that comes up. I still have, and we're going to talk about codependency here, but I still codependently want to manage you on this, not your responses, because I trust that, but more I just want you to feel good about it, and I want you to feel safe and all those things. So I'm like, she's an adult. She can she can handle herself, but I feel fear, and then sadness too. I mean, This isn't the story that we would have written for our lives or for our kids' lives, and we've lost a lot. And I think I just feel sadness that comes up when we reshare our story, but overwhelmingly gladness and gratitude.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I feel a lot of the same things, just a lot of gratitude that we're where we are. I think I'm just feeling some fear coming up, and just because I'm outside of my comfort zone. But I still am feeling, I think a lot of gladness that we're where we are, and we can share these types of conversations.
Yeah. And I think as you're talking, what came up for me is both of us would probably prefer, even though I've done a lot of more stuff in front of people, I think in this season of our life, we prefer walking with people privately. You've been a companion for other spouses and betrayed partners. And I think it's a little more life-giving for us in this season just to kind of stay behind the scenes, and as people need us to be able to serve people in that way. But I think also it's both of us stepping out of our comfort zone to say, if we can if we share it a little more broadly and it helps people, that's great. But like, we don't feel like we're experts. At least I don't.
No, no.
We're not therapists.
No.
We're not experts. We're just people on their recovery journey who have learned some things.
That's right.
I like how you say, I've heard you say before, like, we don't have all the answers, but we have some answers. Mm-hmm. And only because we've had really amazing people in our lives that have given us some of those answers. And so if we can pay them forward, but just so people know, like, this isn't like,
no, no,
we're not trying to ink a book deal here or try to become a thing. Like, we just feel so much gratitude for the journey we've been on. And if we can share bits and pieces of our story and help other people, it's great. So without further delay, let's jump in. And I wanted to talk specifically around the idea of codependency today, because that's something that I feel like you and I are still, like, we talk about it a lot, and we're still learning a lot about it. I definitely learning a lot about it, because I never thought I was codependent until I got into treatment, and I was like, oh man, I think I might actually be more codependent than Jamie, because I was learning about it more. But before we get to that, can you just tell people a little bit of your story, like how you got into recovery and got into this journey for people that don't know you?
Yeah, for sure. So I can look back and see the patterns of codependency from very early in my life. I think I, from a young age, was just searching for, my worth, my security way outside of myself, just wanting to find that in other people.
Right.
And those patterns of merging with a lot stronger personalities, I think, was where I felt comfortable. And that was definitely a pattern from early on in my life.
Do you think that's what kind of drew us together
Absolutely.
in the beginning?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was for me too, because I remember one of the things that really attracted me to you at first was how different you showed up in the world than me. Like, I've got early memories of, we met at church, and like all of our friend group would be going to hang out, like going to dinner. And you would be like, no, I think I'm just going to go home and spend time by myself. And like, I didn't have a container for that. I was like, what do you mean? Like, we're going out. We're all going to go out and have fun. But you, even then, I was like, it was almost like this mysterious, like, she, needs time to recharge and be alone. And you always felt more comfortable in that. But then you would merge with a personality like mine, and I think we did over 20 years of marriage that way. So breaking these patterns is not easy.
That's right.
Has not been easy.
No.
Can you talk a little bit about in our story, when you first really made the conscious decision to break that pattern, and in a really, really beautiful way? And we don't have to camp out here for very long, but I do want people to know, like, you very intentionally blew up my world. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But that took an incredible amount of courage. What are you willing to share about just that season and you getting to the point where you were like, no more?
Yeah. So there were some discoveries, things that were happening that I knew were off. And I was, very much in trauma response mode, just in the FBI, like trying to see that I was not crazy, like just trying to piece it all together. And then, as I was making those discoveries, there was one that kind of sent everything over the edge, where everything was confirmed. I saw it with my own two eyes. I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. This is exactly what I thought was happening. And I do think a lot of I was in a lot of denial leading up to that. But at that point, there was no more denial. Like, everything just was crystal clear at that point. And so I think just in my hurt, in just the anger that I was feeling, just the shock that I was in. I just knew that I wasn't going to live like that anymore. I was done living in lies, being lied to, being gaslit, being made to feel like I was crazy and making things up. And it's funny because I feel like the kids kind of knew before I did, but I just couldn't believe it. I just think my denial was very thick. Of like, he could never do that, he wouldn't do that to me or to the kids. Like,
Right.
so yeah,
and on top of me being a master gaslighter, manipulator.
Right. It just wasn't fathomable to me at that point. But again, when I did confirm what I knew to be true, it was enough to make me just break out of that and say no more. Like, I'm not living in that. You're not going to lie to me. You're not going to lie to our kids anymore. And I was ready to step out of that, and I was willing to, whatever consequences that brought to me, I was willing to go through them at that point.
And I think it's important, like, I want people to know how unbelievably significant that was in my story of you, like, finding your voice and calling me out on my bullshit, and also publicly, I should say not publicly, but bringing other people into it, like that I couldn't gaslight or manipulate or hide. That was the very thing that got me on a path towards healing. And if you wouldn't have had the courage to do that, I wouldn't have done it for myself. I remember even calling you, crying, begging, saying, I wish my friends would just do an intervention. Do you remember that conversation?
Vaguely.
That was the day of the intervention that I didn't even know was going to happen, that you knew was going to happen. And so, and I think the reason why I asked that question before we jump into some of these other topics is because I want couples to know how important it is in seasons where you might be feeling like you're against one another, that some of those courageous decisions are the things that could potentially even save someone's life.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know what you speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had to come to a point where I was just detaching from your behavior, and I wasn't going to cover up for you anymore. I wasn't going to try to rescue you from it. I wasn't going to deny it anymore. And at the time, I didn't think that it was something that was life-saving, but looking back, it was.
Right.
It was.
Well, tell them what Chip told you after I had left.
Yeah,
Chip was our therapist and our interventionist at the time, Chip Dodd.
Right. He just explained to me, because you, of course, were wanting to leave, and, saying, I'm not like these people in here. Leave treatment.
Yeah.
Right. Wanting to come home. I'm not like these people that are in treatment. I need to come home. And he said, Jamie, you have to hold the line with him. You cannot let him come home. You cannot let him back in your house. He's going to go through withdrawals, and he is going to, if he comes home, if you let him come home, he'll be dead in 6 months.
And he meant that.
He meant that.
Literally, I would be dead.
Right. Because you realize that being in the recovery world, how often that happens, and it's devastating. And you don't realize until you're in it how high the stakes are.
Yeah. And we can cut this part if you want, if you don't feel comfortable like answering this next question. But I'm just curious because early in our marriage, you and I, we made a decision on how we were going to structure our lives. I was working in church ministry, and we knew we wanted to have a family, and we made a decision together that your job was going to be with the kids, to be home with the kids. And we saw it. Now, we're not saying that's right for everybody, but for us, that was something that we agreed on. And we even talked this morning a little bit. I have zero regrets about that. I love that you were able to do that and everything else. But it also brought some other realities that sometimes betrayed partners face when they have to hold the line, which is sometimes it's hard to know practically what the future is going to look like if you've been living in a house where someone's been the sole financial provider, or, you know, a lot of the guys we work with at Valiant have been pretty successful externally and have created and provided lives for their families, you know, just physically, financially, whatever, that they're facing a lot of potential ramifications from their world blowing up for them. And there's a lot of fear with that. What advice or counsel would you give for someone who's like, man, I would love nothing more than to blow his life up right now. I'm pissed, I'm angry, whatever. I just don't know what life is going to look like for me on the other side of this.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I had to come to a place of just absolute surrender and trust in God, that He was going to take care of me and the kids, and that He would make a way for me where I couldn't see a way. Yeah. And I just knew I had to take the next step in my own healing and recovery. And I had to just trust that process completely and just surrender to whatever that looked like.
Yeah. I sense a lot of emotion coming up when you're sharing that. Not trying to like lean in and make you cry or anything or have an Oprah moment, but what's behind that emotion?
Yeah, I think just remembering back to just how much pain I was in and how desperate I was. And just the not knowing what was going to happen. It was just agonizing. I mean, It was awful.
Yeah. Is there anything you would tell yourself now, like if you could go back and tell that person, because as you're talking, what's coming up for me is you're a total badass. Like you went and got a job. You went to work. You're like, here we go. Like, cause we didn't have any promise of being together post treatment. We actually spent 30 to 45 days not talking, therapeutic separation, which I highly recommend for anyone going into treatment. Take a break, take a breather. That's just a little side note, but yes, please, if you can, take a break from one another so you can re-enter the relationship in a healthier way. It's not a punishment. It's a gift you can give to one another to take a good therapeutic separation, if your story calls for that.
And to learn how to communicate again. In a way that is beneficial to both people. We did not know how to do that. So we had to learn how to do that.
And we had people that we trusted holding our hands through it. Like
that's right.
The first time we communicated was with an audience.
Yes.
We had Jill and Jen in the room and with me, and you had people with you. Like we're learning how to relate to one another again. And it's therapists guiding us through it because my instincts were still to use. You know, I've said on this podcast before, when I think I was complaining to Jill, one of the therapists there at Valiant, about not belonging there because I didn't use crack cocaine or whatever it was. And she was like, yeah, but you use people, you smoke people. And that stuck with me. And she's like, if I let you talk to your wife or your kids or your brothers or whatever, you're going to use them to feel better, like they're a drug. And so you've got community. You've got guys in the house. You've got support. Go talk with them. Connect with them. You've got places to connect. But I had to learn how to communicate without using. And I'm not saying I'm perfect in that, but I'll just say this. One of the first times I did talk to the kids, I used one of the kids to feel better. And I didn't even know I was doing it. I was asking them questions to try to make me feel better about being gone from them. And it was gross. And looking back on it, I can see it. But then that's just how I knew how to show up in the world, right? And so, coming back together, we had to learn new patterns and new ways of communication. And I don't know why we got off on all that, but that was really good. I think that's helpful for people to hear. Like you have to reset, reestablish new ways, new patterns. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about codependency in a relationship. What is your definition of codependency? There's a bunch out there, but if you were to describe it to somebody, how would you describe being codependent?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that it showed up in my life was just the loss of connection to myself, my feelings, my needs, the loss of self-assertion, just given over to meet the needs of, my significant other.
Right.
I had this idea that if you're okay, I'm okay. So let's make him okay so we can all be okay. And it was a very sick way of being.
And I was never okay.
Right. Right. We were just waiting for you to be okay all the time.
And it was like, if maybe the next move, the next job, the next this,
Right.
he'll finally be okay.
Right.
It never was.
Never was.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for me, it was just an illusion of control, that if I could just, be compliant enough or merge enough with you or go along to get along enough with you, that I would prevent, something awful happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened anyway. It imploded anyway.
Right.
So it was an illusion. That's why I say it's an illusion of control over the other person.
And I would imagine too, just knowing how I'm wired, that there probably was some fear of confronting me because I just didn't do well with not getting my way.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which I'm completely healed of now. I'm perfect now. No, I mean, I think I have a greater awareness of it, but I think, was there fear that like, hey, if I put my foot down and stay my ground, this is going to be, because I was relatively unstable for the majority of our marriage anyway, just high highs, low lows. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if you felt like, hey, if I say no to this, or if I draw a boundary here, is that going to be the thing that just pushes them right over the edge and blows everything? I mean,
yes. I mean, I think I definitely had fear that if I confronted you about something, that it would just blow up our world. I had fear that if I questioned you, if I gave a voice to the things that I was seeing and the patterns of behavior and the things I knew were there, but I just didn't want to address them out of fear of what would happen to our family, our marriage. I think that's what kept me stuck, just in that like very sickly like way of being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Talk about so I get off on a plane to Denver. We live in the Nashville area, and our world is completely imploded. Mm-hmm. Job loss. I'm gone. We're starting fresh. And so by some miracle or grace of God, you are able to find the courage somehow to begin your own recovery journey while I'm gone. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, because we tell people now that we're in recovery.
That's right.
It's not Drew's in recovery and I'm supportive of his recovery. Mm-hmm. It's we're in recovery together, which even that statement is so humbling for a betrayed partner to enter into this journey with someone after they've been put through years of trauma and gaslighting. And in a lot of ways, their addiction or their codependency, or what do you want to say, is because of living with an addict for so many years. So I think it's very rare, but a very special thing when a partner says, hey, I'm willing to do the work to try to understand this disease, to understand what my part is in it, but also what my part is not, what's his to own. Can you talk a little bit about that journey? I'm gone, you're left here with the kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was as I said before, just in such a desperate place. It was like that desperation just gave me the key to surrender myself to a process that was not in my hands anymore. I was trusting my therapists here. I was trusting the therapist at the treatment center. I started going to S-Anon every week. I had a life guide out of another counseling center who her husband had been in treatment for similar things, had been in leadership in church, all those things. And so I was just learning so much and just saying, tell me what to do. Where do I need to go? I was so desperate, and I knew that I needed healing. I had enough awareness to be like, I'm really sick. I mean, and it was manifesting physically. I was unwell. I just knew I had moments where I was like, if I don't get help for myself and begin healing for myself, I'm going to die, because I couldn't see an end in sight if I didn't do that. And so I think just that neediness and being awake to that neediness is what just helped me surrender myself to a process.
Yeah, that's so well said. And I think one of the things I've heard you say before is I deserve, and this is my paraphrase, so correct it, but I deserve healing whether or not he gets help or not, whether or not we stay together or not. So it was not like I need to heal so we can be together. It was like, I got to heal, period.
Yes.
And if we stay together, okay, maybe.
Right. Right.
But either way, I deserve healing.
Right. And I came to that place, and because of the condition that I was in, just kind of being a shell, I felt like a shell. Like I knew that I was not showing up for our kids in the way that they needed. And I think that was another motivator of like, they're watching me. They're watching what I'm going to do. And that gave me, I think, enough like passion to be able to just take the next step. And I think that was really helpful, of just saying, I'm just going to take the next step, because this is so overwhelming and there's so much that I have to learn and do, but I'm just going to take the next step.
I think that's so powerful for people to hear, because in my personality, it is, I have to figure out all the steps before I take one. And I'm sure there's some partners out there, some betrayed partners that maybe wired even more like me, where it's like, I got to figure this whole thing out. What's life going to look like? And it's like, no, you don't. Not today, you don't. What's the next best step today?
Right. It could just be a phone call. It could be walking through a door of a meeting. It can be something so small. It could be doing a journal entry. It could just be something so small, but over time, you're like, wow, like I'm doing it. I'm recovering from this. Right.
And I think that's one thing that's been amazing in our story, is that, and I want to be careful I say this, because everyone's journey is different.
That's right.
And what we learned is that you heal at the pace of the betrayed. Like, you know, a lot of us guys go to treatment. We're there for 90 days, 120 days, whatever. And we come out fired up. We just went to boot camp and we feel all better, you know, in our narcissism and our ego, whatever. Well, meanwhile, the people that we left behind, they're way far back. Like, they're not ready yet. Sometimes guys leave treatment and they're not going home, maybe for a long time, maybe not ever, but you heal at the pace of the person that is betrayed. And one thing I noticed in our story is when you're willing to do the work and to help each other feel safe, specifically the betrayed partner feel safe, it is amazing the progress that can be made. And what I'm not saying is, oh, if you just do the work, everything's going to be fixed and be better immediately. But I have been shocked in the last 4 years at how much progress we have made because of your willingness to do the work, my willingness to do the work separately of one another, but then also together. And so there's so much hope in these stories, but I'm curious your thoughts on this, because it is kind of dependent on your willingness to take that next step. Go to the meeting, get the help, get the healing, read the books on disease model of addiction, specifically around sex addiction. There's so much more that we have to learn about that in general. You did all that. You like immersed yourself into that. I mean, what would you say to someone that's listening or watching right now that feels like, bro, I hear you, but I don't see any way that this thing is going to ever be good again.
I think for me is it really just, felt like I had to take responsibility for myself. Because the reality is that I chose to marry you. I chose to have 4 children with you. I chose to suppress my own voice, feelings, needs. I chose all of those things. And I was doing it to survive, yes. And it didn't justify any of your behavior. But it put it back on me. So now what are you going to do? Now that you realize that you made these decisions and this is where it has led, now what are you going to do with that? Mm-hmm. And I was awake to that for the first time.
Wow.
And I think that is what helped me day by day just to take the next step. Mm-hmm. And just trusting the process of however that was going to come out. Like if that meant, you and I staying together or us separating and divorcing or whatever that was going to look like, I was gaining enough strength to be able to face whatever was next, just little by little with each step.
Yeah. So good. I keep having these questions come up as you're talking and like, I know we're like way off script, but it's just like, I just love everything you're saying because, like one question that came up, and feel free to, if you don't want to answer it, but as you're doing that and you're working this process of your own recovery, mm-hmm. you're learning to like trust yourself again.
Right.
You're kind of finding your voice, mm-hmm. but I'm off. Like mm-hmm. You're doing this kind of on your own.
Yeah.
But we're not doing it together. Mm-hmm. So you have no idea. I mean, not no idea. You were getting updates, but for the most part, you don't have any idea what I'm doing, what's mm-hmm. going on there. How were you able to like surrender and relinquish I got to know what Drew's doing. I got to like, because I felt like from my perspective in a good way, you were kind of like, hey, good luck in there. Not, I didn't feel like you were dismissive, but it was like, mm-hmm. we were instructed not to talk and you followed it to the letter of the law. Yeah. Like you did not mm-hmm. break stride from what, I mean, you were locked.
Yes. Yes.
They said Drew's got to go for at least 90 days. If I came home at 89 3/4, mm-hmm. not acceptable.
Right.
Or if they just said it's got to be 100, it's now 100.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And I'm in there like I'm smarter than everyone else. They don't know what I need. And you're just like, well, if you want this to work.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I felt like for the first time, like I was driving. Like I'm driving this now. You're not. Look where you drove us to. You yeah. drove off a cliff.
Right.
And you needed to be backed down. Like you were out of control. And I just don't think you had ever been told what to do, ever. That was the first time,
Or willing to receive help.
Right.
My thing is like, if I'm going to run off the cliff, I'm just going to be the one to mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask anybody for help. Like I'm going to keep driving this thing.
Right.
And I basically drove it till I couldn't drive it anymore.
That's right. Right.
Because otherwise I just would have kept driving until I found my way.
Right. And I think a big part of that too for me was I was learning how to trust myself. I knew I definitely didn't trust you, but I was learning to trust myself again. And so I think just allowing you to just be in the hands of Valiant and the therapist there was a relief to me. Like I was like, they have him and I'm not in charge of him anymore. Like he is going to have to be a grown-up and make decisions for himself now. I can't be responsible anymore for what he's doing or not doing. Mm-hmm. I had to let you go completely. And I think that's what I go back to. It was so beneficial for us to not talk for, 45 days or however long it was, just to have like that detachment because we were so enmeshed and so just dysfunctional in every way, really. So,
and side note for not to talk to the kids either.
Right.
So we started out, is it okay if I share this part about kind of the rhythms?
Sure.
We started out with an evening phone call mm-hmm. every night. that was just a disaster for both parties.
Well, and they didn't want to talk to you,
Right.
but they felt like they had to. And I was sensing that, and I think we finally came to a point where we're like, if you don't want to talk to him, you don't have to.
And I felt that too. I sensed like they don't want to talk to me,
Right.
and I feel terrible on this call. And it just, it was so painful.
It was awful.
It was awful.
Yeah.
So then it went to a once a week phone call at a certain time. And that was if they wanted to or not. And most weeks they didn't
Right.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
And man, that was so painful and so good for my recovery and because in the addict brain, we're trying to learn how to like develop empathy again and understand how we've hurt people.
Yeah.
And for a lot of addicts like myself, it's easy to go into, well, if I could just talk to them, I will be able to, it's old patterns of I'll make them feel better.
Yeah.
I'll talk my way out of this or talk my way through it.
Right.
And that wouldn't happen, and it took that power away from me. It took all that stuff away from me that was unhealthy. And it wasn't until down the road, like you were talking earlier, the kids really did follow your cues.
For sure.
I mean, they followed your patterns, like as you began to get healthier and just, not healthier, but I don't know how you would say it, but like the kids just followed suit. They were usually a couple steps behind wherever you were at,
right,
in your journey.
Yeah.
But that was so important for us to have that, and especially as we started reintegrating again. And I think it's important for people to hear, like, the amends process that we did.
Yeah.
It was with everybody.
It was
with each kid individually. I mean, what do you remember about that you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like it's an ongoing thing too. It's like, yes, there was that initial amends and you taking responsibility for the harm that you did to them. As they've gotten older, their needs have shifted, and I think it's an ongoing process of what they need from you.
Yeah.
Well,
of course I want to do it once and it would be done.
Yeah.
But that's just not
right.
That's not how it goes. And it's not that I want the kids to have what they need. I want you to get what you need more than anything. But in my mind, my default is we did that. But it's like, man, that's part of like what we get to do in recovery. We get to continue to show up for one another. We get to help each other feel safe. I mean, we were just having this conversation with some dear friends of ours who are also in recovery. It's like, it's not or it might actually be with Dr. MB, we were talking, I can't remember, but I don't feel like recovery in a relationship with someone that you love is a burden, personally. Not to say it's not a challenge, but like, for me to spend the rest of my life rebuilding trust or making you feel safe, that's a gift that I've been given. Like, that's not I gotta do this, or it's like, no, I love you and you have shown me what unconditional grace and mercy and forgiveness and love looks like, and you've done your own work. Like, it feels like the least a person can do is to spend the rest of their life, if that person is willing to re-engage in a relationship with you, helping that person feel safe. Like, why is that why is that a sticking point?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Right. I mean, it's now that, like, looking back, I'm just like, why did I not, it's like safety. Okay. Well, that's a foundational thing in a relationship, to feel safe with someone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, gosh, when I think back, like, pre-recovery, the years, right, of not having that, or having the illusion of it, right? Like, but now being on this side and experiencing real safety in a relationship, my gosh.
I know, game changer.
You're just like, wow.
Well, yeah. And also experiencing real honesty in a
Right.
relationship.
Right.
Like, because the story that I wrote was, if Jamie really knew me, there's no way she would love me. So for years, I had to keep up the act,
Right.
and it wasn't that all of it was dishonest, but enough of it was dishonest that kept a barrier of intimacy between us
Right.
that we didn't even know really existed.
Right. Yeah.
It was just our normal, but now I'm like, man, we even joke, like, even really little things that seem trivial, it's very difficult for me to like keep them from you, because it's just like, I love this like open stream, open flow of connection and honesty.
We don't have anything between us.
Right.
Like there's nothing between us.
Nothing.
Nothing.
And if I go to a coffee meeting and we change locations, I have to tell you where I'm going, because I just don't want there. And I know that's small, and maybe you care or don't care, but it doesn't matter. I don't want there to be anything where you're like, you think I'm here, but I'm actually here.
Right.
I don't like for me.
And
I don't
for
like
me, I would be like, you're being dishonest.
Right.
That is unacceptable to me now.
Right.
That is a boundary. Like, I'm not living with someone who is not being honest with me.
Right.
Across the board. That's withholding information. That's whatever it is.
I feel unsafe right now.
Right.
Well, and you did it this morning, and I won't talk about the specifics of it because it's nobody's business, but you said, can we talk this morning? Like, it was about something else. And it was funny because my first instinct when you said that was, oh no, am I in trouble? And then I thought for a second, and I was like, no.
Oh.
There's nothing that I know I've done. I'm not hiding anything. So then it was like so freeing, because I'm like, okay, there's not going to be a discovery. There's not anything like that. She's just something she wants to talk about. I'm like, awesome, let's talk.
Right. And it takes so much communication, right? Like, just staying connected. It takes really intentional conversation.
Right.
Well,
one thing that we started doing, like, talking about codependency, and we're still practicing this, because
all of it is practicing, and it's very clumsy.
We're the clumsiest toddlers. I will say that we do get back up pretty quick, though. Like our return and repair is quicker than it used to be. Like, we don't stay in that space very long, because we're usually able to like get grounded and self-reflect and then own what we need to own. But it definitely is clumsy, clunky. We're toddlers in this.
Yeah.
But one thing that's been helpful with two, I would say, highly codependent people, me, it's not a competition, but I think I'm more codependent on like the control side of things. Where I always thought codependence was just about neediness. Like, I need someone's help on something, and so I'm being codependent. Well, it also can be control. It can also be like, I'm trying to manage and control your life and how you feel and everything else. But you've started doing this for me some, where you'll say, I need to tell you how I feel, and I don't need you to fix it for me. And there's something about you saying that helps me sit back and be like, oh, this is listen time. This is listen, affirm, make her feel safe time, not I need to jump into action with a plan on how to fix her. No. Which would still to this day be my default. Talk a little bit just about like some of those patterns of codependency that we're trying to on a daily basis break in our lives.
I think some of the practices, just the daily practices that I have, I think it's all around connection. So checking in with myself, where I'm at, what feelings are coming up, what needs can I name, and then connecting those with God, and just bringing those to Him first, and then from there, just kind of surrendering myself to, is there someone I need to reach out to? Do I need to have a conversation with Andrew? Do I need to reach out to someone in my support group, which I do a lot? And I think that's realizing, like, you can't meet all of my needs. Like, I have to reach out to other people. I can't, depend on you for everything, right?
Yeah.
So I think part of my growth is just being able to reach out to women in my support group, and just be able to gain support from them, perspective from them.
Yeah.
just to be able to share really honestly with them. I feel like there's been so much healing for me in that, and feeling like I'm not crazy and I'm not alone. That's been one of the big keys,
Yeah.
I feel like, for me.
And it's okay to have needs.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for what you need. I think
Right.
we're both learning that from different ways.
Yes.
Like, it's okay for you to have needs and be able to ask for them and get them in healthy ways. It's okay for me to have things that I need and to be able to ask for them and get them in healthy ways.
Yeah.
It's also okay for me to hear no, but also know that there's other ways to get those needs met without acting out in unhealthy ways. You know, it's like, that's part of it. It's like, yeah, like you said, like, I may have a need with you, but you might not be at the place where you can meet that need at the moment. Well, great. I've got a bunch of buddies I can call.
Yeah.
I can go and get connection today. I'm not short on connection. I've got groups I go to, I got all the stuff. So it's not like, well, I need something. I'm feeling something that I don't know what to do with this feeling. Which that's what led me to addiction ultimately, was feelings that I didn't know how to connect with. I mean, talk on that a little bit. Because we talk about these feelings, and we reference Chip's Voice of the Heart all the time because it's just like...
Yes. It's so much of it is avoiding having to feel and avoiding pain and numbing and escaping. So I love how, Chip talks about how we're made as feeling, needing humans, and there's no such place as a way. And so we're going to get those needs met, whether it's in a impaired way through addiction and escape, or if it's in a healthy way that's through connection and honesty and vulnerability and all of those things that we're so afraid to do. We're afraid of being hurt. We're afraid of being rejected. We're afraid of all of the feelings that come with it.
Yeah. Well, in my addiction, I feel like the only feeling that I had that I allowed myself to access was probably anger. Like, I could get mad, I could get angry, and unhealthy anger, not even healthy anger, not even like passion or I'm angry for something or whatever. It's like mostly like rage, type anger.
Right.
But then learning that that's actually a secondary emotion. Like, now when I feel angry, my first question to myself is, what else?
Right.
What else am I feeling with that? Oh, I actually feel like I lost something. So that's sadness. Or I actually feel some apathy right now. Like, I just have I don't give a crap.
Right.
Well, I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Like, I'm learning that these are or fear is huge for me in my life. Like, usually top plate is like, I'm afraid of something, and that's why I'm angry, because I'm afraid, it's like, but until I'm able to connect with those needs or I should say those feelings, I'm not able to show up and connect with you or with our kids or myself in healthy ways, because it's going to come out sideways.
Right.
So that's what leads us to addiction. I got to numb. This feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I got to go numb these things. I don't like the way I feel. Now it could be as simple as like standing out there in the backyard with our dog, my Rottweiler, that's laying over there, and throwing the ball barefoot for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but that's grounding for me.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, this is the stuff that we're learning on how to, show up for one another again.
Right. It's Chip talks about like face, feel, deal. Like, you have to face and feel and deal, because there's no such place as a way. So, and that's really hard if you've never done that before.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're learning how to do that daily.
What is, now that you've been in recovery for a little bit, what does living fully look like for you now?
Yeah, I think it goes back to those recovery practices, just being in touch with my own heart and what's going on, and being able to name what those are, what feelings and needs are coming up, being able to share those with the people around me that I trust.
Yeah.
Just those connections. I think living fully is about being connected to myself first and connecting to God and to other people.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
What would you say to the person listening or watching right now who might be where you were early stage recovery. Maybe there was just a discovery, their world just got blown up. I mean, what would you offer
Yeah.
that person?
I would just say you're not alone and you're not crazy. And there, if you're willing just to take the next step, there's people there that are waiting for you.
Yeah.
That can amazingly just helps to support you, to hear you, to be for you, to help you know what your healing journey is going to be. But I think overall, I would just say, like, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. And this is going to be awful and hard and painful, but you're going to be okay.
So good. What are some other kinds of topics that come to mind? Because we talked a little bit about codependency today. Obviously, that's a really deep well.
Yeah.
And we can
Right.
even maybe link to some of the resources in the show notes of like, because you've got some great books and resources and stuff. So maybe we'll just link to those if you'd be willing to share. Also, you mentioned if there's someone who's struggling and they need to talk to somebody, we can connect them with you if you want to just be a companion, just be someone,
Absolutely.
that's listening to this. Like, man, I just would love to have, just to tell Jamie my story and to have someone, a safe place. And you have been that and continue to be that for a lot of people, a safe place to just be. You're not going to fix them. You're not
No.
a therapist. You're not whatever, but just I can be with you.
Absolutely.
In this. But for the especially the Betray partners that might be listening, what are some other topics that we could potentially cover in the future that you feel like would have been helpful for you early on?
Yeah, I think understanding addiction, I think, was such a huge key for me in the beginning, so that I could have compassion for you, that I could see you as sick and not bad. I think was a huge part of me being able to hold space for you while you were in treatment, even though I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, either way, I knew, you're the father of my kids, so I'm going to have to deal with you on some level for the rest of my life, right? So I think it was just, that was key in me being able to have compassion, and it's, when I think about you being in treatment and, you're in PHP, partial hospitalization, it's like this person is sick with a disease, just like any other disease. So I think that helped me to, like I said, just to have compassion first.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, and I think there's just so many other things when a couple like us who get into this stage of our lives, it's such new territory.
Yeah.
That I think it's great to just have someone who's just a little bit down the road that can say, there are resources, there is help. You're not the only one experiencing it. We didn't know anybody else doing this when we got into it.
Right.
Now, like, all of our friends are in this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, this is our whole community now, is people that are in recovery. It's like, it's actually a huge community.
Right.
But it's anonymous. So it's like, it's like kind of gotta, it's hard to get into sometimes.
Right. It's there if you're seeking it, it's there for sure. And there are amazing women who understand completely. And that is like such a comfort, especially when you're in the thick of it. And, if your loved one is in treatment, like, it's, to have that support is vital. It really is vital.
Yeah. Last question for you. And this has been awesome. Thank you for doing this.
It's rough. I'm trying.
You're doing great. No, I think it's great. I love that. Every day we have we talk about this all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
it's our life.
Right. It's our daily life.
You daily say things to me that I'm like, wow, that was really, really great, really helpful. So I'm just happy for other people to hear just your story and how you're walking through this on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I just am curious if you were to speak to like young Jamie
Mm-hmm.
entering into teenage, adulthood, marriage, parenting, navigating, what's the thing or some of the things that you would, sitting where you're at now, that you would go back and say to her?
It's gonna make me cry. um, Man, I think just like your emotional home is inside of you. It's not inside of anyone else. You don't have to find your acceptance, validation, safety, all of those things inside of another stronger personality than yours. Like you have what you need inside of you. You can draw on those things and then be open to relationships with other people from that place. I think I would tell her, how you show up in the world matters. And I think for, most of my adult life, and I still struggle with that of like, it doesn't really matter if you're there or not, you know? But I think learning like your presence does matter and your voice does matter and you showing up matters. And I think I'm still learning that and telling myself today that, and that is what I would tell my younger self too.